The taste of the screams of children.
Boy, I hope no one takes that out of context.
They will.
There you go. Okay. All right, that'll work.
All right, so welcome to the new car, I guess.
Yeah, car.
Hey,
like the third car in a month.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so this week we have Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep, which
Dr.
movie I
Sleep.
saw last week. You saw it earlier this week. Now we're just kind of catching up before it heads out of theaters.
Yep.
I've kind of already figured out my thoughts on this movie. What did you think about this one?
You've worked through your thoughts about this movie?
Well, because I think I realized there's some very personal reasons why this movie connected me so much, and that I'll get into later. But
Are you a Shining fan?
I've actually I've only seen the original Shining once.
Oh, okay.
When I was younger.
Are you a fan of the screams of children?
It's I mean, this goes back to I work with children. So,
Exactly.
I know.
We've talked about
That's
this.
why I'm not going to answer that question.
Okay.
I'm
all
going to
right.
let the audience decide
So,
the answer.
how spoiler free do we want to stay to start with?
Let's go vague at first, and we can open
Yeah,
up
let's
as we go
because
forward.
I feel like this movie has not gotten the credit it deserves.
No.
Even though it has very good reviews and stuff, a lot of people just haven't gone to see it. I do feel like, again, the trailers kind of ruined a couple things, but
A couple of things.
At the same time, it's like I don't think a trailer should ever have footage from the last third of a movie.
I know, right?
I think it's fucking bullshit. And
It's not like Quarantine where the last shot on the trailer is literally the last shot in the movie.
But yeah, I just fucking hate that. But that aside, my familiarity, wow, that's a word. My familiarity with this director comes from seeing Gerald's Game on Netflix.
Gerald's Game's a great fucking movie.
It's good. It's hard to watch at times. It's a bit much. But that being said, it is also pretty elegantly executed. And I feel like it's missing something that would make it really great, but I feel like that's more Stephen King's fault than the filmmaker's fault.
No, I think given I thought the concept alone just scared the shit out of me.
No, the concept itself is really unnerving, but the idea of building the whole movie around it was kind of, I felt like it was a little long for the concept, but it did well. Mm-hmm. And I was really interested to hear that this guy was going to be doing this movie. I didn't get to see the Haunting of Hill House series, which I heard he also did.
Yeah, that was also pretty good.
I've heard good things about that.
That one has a fun little game of can you spot the ghost. Good job, Muha.
We're holding the lights right now. He hasn't installed the magnets in this one.
This is a brand new old car, as in I bought this for $2,000 off a guy in a garage.
Hey man, if it runs.
Hey, I haven't had time. I bought 2 days ago.
We're not in the game of luxury vehicles.
No,
we're in the game of getting from A to B. So
yeah. Haunting Hill House has a very interesting little game you can play of can you spot the hidden ghosts that are in a lot of the flashback scenes.
That's neat.
So every time a flashback scene, you can can you there's one in almost every flashback scene.
Huh.
Cool. So it's kind of fun to play that game.
Cool thing. But this director's good.
He's a good director. He knows what he's doing. Solid. He knows how to direct a good horror with good characters.
And he knows how to direct horror without going over the top, gory, crazy.
Yeah.
When the gore is there, it's there. But he really knows how to take his time and build a good movie and make the fear come from the concepts rather than, something more visceral or in your face. And this is a long movie.
It is
2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's 2.5 hours.
And it does pretty well with it.
I personally love this movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's missing something. I don't know what it is, but it's one of those movies that I
agree with that.
It's one of those movies that I could give a 9 out of 10, but also totally understand someone giving it a 6.5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
The movie is very well constructed. It's shockingly well acted.
And it feels like a very deliberate film for me.
Yeah, well written.
It's very deliberately written. It's it's definitely shot and directed to mimic or rhyme with Kubrick style without directly ripping it off.
Somewhat, yeah. It's definitely not The Shining.
No, but it does rhyme with it in some aspects. I would argue.
Yeah, sure. But and it's pretty deliberate when it does that. I feel like it does a good job of being faithful to it while not trying to recreate it.
Yes,
And
except
that
the
was
scenes
pretty
where they
cool.
actually recreate it.
And those were well done.
Oh yeah, they were really well done.
They were not excessive.
No,
and they definitely gave it good context.
And I think what I liked about this movie, as far as because whenever you do a sequel for a movie that's been on for like decades, like you always run the risk of sequelitis.
Yeah.
But what I like this movie is like it does reference the first one a lot, or even the book, depending on your interpretation of it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do so for the sake of referencing it, which is a sequel mistake a lot of these kind of sequels make.
Yeah, it's not a fan service thing.
Yeah, like
so
it's
much
like,
as-
oh, we're doing this because the first movie did it. We're doing
Yeah.
this because we do have something to say about it. There is a point to it.
Yeah.
There was a reason we're bringing this shit up.
Yeah,
And it does
it's
tie the overall theme of the movie. And I thought that
good to see that they took the character and were just like, yeah, he's an alcoholic.
yeah.
He did not cope with this well. This is something that is difficult.
Yeah. But even that goes into the larger themes of the movie of, and this is where it connects really personally with me, is the theme of understanding your parents through their vices while also running the risk of becoming them.
Oh.
And that's terrifying.
Did your dad also chase you through a hotel with an axe?
Well, not that far.
Okay.
Metaphorically, maybe.
Okay.
It's for me. This goes into personal territory.
Okay.
So, and I'm okay with talking about it a little bit, but I don't want to. Yeah.
Sure. Also, sorry if that was a spoiler if you haven't seen The Shining for some reason.
You had your
I mean,
chance.
I'm sorry. It doesn't ruin much. It's just a concept in the movie, but like.
But no,
Yeah.
my interpretation of the movies going forward is really just a story about a guy who's shares his father's vices, shares his weaknesses, and understands him through that. But the problem is when you have, especially when it's a parent who has something that is so all-consuming,
Yeah.
you tend to only identify them through that lens.
Yeah.
And it's hard to see them as a larger person. And again, especially if they were violent or crazy. Like the last memory of them was like
It was The Shining.
was The Shining. Yeah.
So it's a bit of a thing.
I know, but like even then, like that. My point is though, like especially the scene that got to me personally was when he's sitting in the AA meeting.
Yeah, no,
and he's, like,
that scene is very specifically poignant.
Yeah, and he's talking about like, I wish like my dad would have been here right now. So this time understanding him.
Yeah.
In that way, and I think I can't speak for you. I can only speak for myself here.
Yeah.
When you have like someone, especially a parental figure who is an alcoholic. And you have to, when you've really been forced to look at that and experience that, and you know damn well it's just easy for you to fall in that same trapping.
Oh no, I'm familiar with that.
It is very terrifying.
Yeah.
In that respect, but at the same time, you do get it more.
Yeah. No.
And I like this movie delved into that topic. I think it did so very well, and the way it came to its conclusions towards the end, I thought was really well done.
Yeah.
And that again, it's like the more I thought about it, I think that's what really spoke out to me personally, because especially recently, I've been exposed to a lot of that. So for me, this is very much like, it was very poignant and very emotional for me to kind of witness that, and just kind of, again, it always feels nice when somebody puts something you've been going through into words.
Yeah.
At the right time. So that's kind of what this movie was for me.
Okay. Well, I've had my own issues with addiction, and alcoholism killed my uncle. So I definitely understand that and relating to that. But as far as this movie goes with that, I feel like that theme, while well executed and essential to the character, was kind of tangential to the main plot. It's a theme.
Not necessarily.
But it's not a core plot element. His alcoholism is just something he's dealing with as things get difficult.
Well, I think
it handled that pretty well in the context of the film.
Like, I would argue more it's about like that in terms of legacy or passing down the next generation, because the whole other main character of the movie is a younger girl that Ian McGregor's character becomes attached to. And they kind of form a bond. He teaches her stuff, and he has to learn from his mistakes to be better. Yeah. So you can really argue it's still about that, but just going from generation to generation.
I find it interesting how the themes in the movie were like the whole idea of the fact that he is terrified of what The Shining will bring, and she refuses to let that stop her from shining. And that is kind of on the nose. Like it's so deliberate that it's almost on the nose about how it's like, you know what, there are going to be dangers, there are going to be people who try to come after you or whatever for standing out, but you can either like not stand out and just suffer and be alone and all the dull yourself, or you can shine.
Yeah.
And I found that kind of interesting as a concept.
Yeah, like, and
especially with her, bringing that back to him as an older man who's all jaded and, doesn't want to do this shit anymore.
Yeah, and like there are cases where like even if it is on the nose, I can accept that if the execution is done well.
Yeah, no, I just found it really funny that it was done with with literally the concept of shining.
Yeah,
like I know, in my head, I was like,
run that back around.
Please, at no point in this movie, do not sing This Little Light of Mine. Like, please don't. And they didn't, to their credit, but that's almost the level that I was like, are they gonna do this? And so, that was, but it's fine. It's just a funny little thing to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as the quality of the movie goes, this movie takes its time.
It does, and I like that.
It doesn't rush anything.
No.
It definitely has, you could argue that it has 3 acts, but I would almost argue that it has 4 or 5 acts.
It could be, you can argue this is a 5-act movie.
Yeah, it definitely goes through phases of setup and progression, and there were moments that I really did not expect.
Like, you could argue like prologue, inciting incident, first act, second act, third act, epilogue.
Well, let's not get into strict structural elements.
Well, yeah, I'm just like
in terms of like actual phases of what the characters are going through and plot arcs, so to speak.
Well, I mean, yeah, like you can argue the whole first part where Ian McGregor is becoming like Dr. Sleep. You can kind of argue that's the prologue.
Sure, yeah. Everything below
the structural
time jump.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's its own thing. But let's talk about the quality of the movie and everything, so that we can move on to spoilers. Because that's where I really want to dig in.
I'm turning my light because I'm looking at the camera. I just look so white.
Well, remember the screen is a little more overexposed than it.
That's true. That's true. Fine, I'll do it lower.
All right. Because that one review we did, you just looked washed out, and then it came up on the screen, and you were like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, it looks okay. Yeah.
So so don't overdo it. There's enchantment in the light, Michael.
You're shining.
Oh.
When I'm turned off, hold on, you gotta do it again. You gotta do it again. Jesus
That's
Christ.
funnier if you've seen The Lighthouse. But
as long as I don't hear Willem Dafoe grunting.
or farting. Or coming on your face. Anyway, that's a different movie. So this movie is very well paced. It's a bit long. It's probably going to be a bit slow for some people. It's not your normal horror movie.
No.
There was definitely, when the movie started, there was a group of 4 like teenagers that came in and sat down next to me, and I immediately was like, oh God. And sure enough, they had a bunch of food, and we're just whispering to each other a bunch of the time and laughing at parts that weren't funny. And one of them literally got on their phone and went on their Snapchat messages in the middle of the movie. And I was just like, could you not? I straight up told her, I'm like, could you get off your phone?
Yeah.
Like,
I know, right?
really? And yeah, I don't know.
I think that happened to me when I was watching Ford versus Ferrari. I think I just got up and moved.
Yeah, if you're the kind of person who thinks it's okay to get on their phone in a movie theater, don't go see this movie. Go home, kill yourself. But
don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
But I fucking hate you. Have some. If you're gonna pay money to go see a fucking movie in the theater, have some respect.
I know, right?
Just don't fucking do that. Especially if you're sitting in like the 4th row and everyone can see your goddamn phone. Stop it. Go outside. Have some fucking awareness and consideration for others. Anyway, it's a peeve.
Just imagine like a shepherd from Firefly. You're going to a special hell.
for pedophiles and people who talk in the theaters.
Yeah.
There's a specialer hell for people who go on their phone in the theaters, like just blatantly. But that was before smartphones. I'm sure Book would change his mind now.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, it was in the anyway. But so yeah, it's kind of a slow movie. It demands that you pay attention and invest. But the performances are great. The characters are great. Mm-hmm. It's just a really interesting movie, and you may feel the length by the end of it, but it's worth it.
I was interested enough in the visual style and the director, the direction and the acting. I was invested enough in the characters that it didn't really feel that long for me. I was pretty and
without giving anything away, the city flyover scene.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Was interesting.
That was really cool.
The way they visualize the different forms of The Shining is really fascinating. Yeah, the whole the way that these characters exist. But anyway, so yeah, how about do you want
to? Just go it. Let's do it. Go spoilers.
All right. We both loved it clearly, but yeah, spoilers free. Warning. All right. The whole idea that there's a gang of fucking monsters that are getting not eternal life, but like extended life to the point where one of the characters has been alive for millennia, apparently.
Yeah.
The fact that these things exist and are existing on the level where their whole existence is just to go and hunt down people with these powers, and they also have a form of the powers, but they're hunting them down. And what makes it better is pain and suffering. So they're literally hunting down people who shine and torturing them to death while they just suck their souls down.
Yep.
And it's some severely disturbing imagery.
Yep.
I'm really surprised they got a scene in this movie where a gang of people kidnaps a child, ties him to the ground, and then just stabs him, and with each scream just sucks in his essence and almost like writhes with ecstasy.
Yeah.
It's a group of adults just feeding off of the screams of a dying, tortured boy and just feeling so good about it and really enjoying it. It's pretty disturbing.
Yeah.
It's not that gory. It's got some blood, and that's what I do appreciate about this. This manages to take a concept like that that's really fucked up and not be super gratuitous about it, just make you really uncomfortable. And I kind of love that. I love that in a good horror movie.
No, there was a lot of shit like that I really loved. Like the minute they introduced like the idea of Ian McGregor like being able to lock the ghosts in his head with the boxes, they're like, oh, I can tell where this is going. I can't fucking wait.
Oh no, yeah. And when that happened in my head, I was like, oh, he's going to let him out at some point.
Yeah.
There's no way. Or they're going to break out. Something's going to happen where they're not going to stay in there, and that's going to be cool. But
and it was.
I did really enjoy the beginning of the movie where it shows him immediately after The Shining, where, he didn't talk.
Yeah.
And he's still dealing with these creatures that are after him. And just dealing with that. And, the whole idea that I wish they'd done more with Tony. The whole concept of Tony from the original. They do address its existence, but I kind of wish we found out who Tony was specifically.
I mean, they could have found a pretty good actor to replicate him.
No. I mean, Tony as in, like, the thing in his head.
Oh, right.
That's the other one, God, I don't remember his name. But yeah, dude looks exactly like the guy in the original. It's really uncanny.
And they did a good job of, like, recasting everybody.
Yeah, no, they did a fucking great job on this. Like, it's clear that this guy gave a real shit about doing this right, and I really appreciate that.
And it does
from the original.
homages to the original
Yeah.
without being
Yeah.
overbearing or fan servicey.
I mean, you're not gonna find another Shelley Duvall, but
No.
the lady they got to be that character did really well.
Honestly, Chevy Duvall used to drive me insane.
Really?
I did not like Chevy Duvall.
Chevy Duvall?
No, or,
You mean Chevy Chase?
well, Chevy Chase too. But,
Shelley Duvall used to drive you mad?
it's like, especially in the original Shine, I
You and
found
Jack Nicholson got something in common?
I kind of got it, man. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, it's I mean,
She's driving me crazy in the original Shining.
it's kind of, The Shining is one of those things that I still respect as a film, but I kind of find it hard to, like, knowing what happened behind the scenes, I kind of find it hard to enjoy as much now.
Yeah, that's fair.
'Cause,
that's the case for a lot of Kubrick movies.
Yeah, they broke that poor woman deliberately.
And like 200 doors.
And no, they broke her.
Oh no, I've heard the stories.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know if you've seen interviews with her recently, but
I have no idea what she's doing now.
No, she's gone. She's lost her fucking mind.
Oh.
Like, after The Shining, she basically slowly descended into madness. It damaged her in ways that she never recovered from. That movie cost a real human life. Because Kubrick did it for the art. Kubrick's kind of a fucking pervy douchebag too.
Yep. Yeah, he is. No.
Yay, auteurs. But that's the thing. It's not just the movie, it's the book, and it's the fact that someone wanted to do justice to both at the same time, and I like that they still followed through on that, and they proved that you don't have to be that much of a dick to do it. So
I know, right? And it doesn't really become a sequel to the movie until like the last act, I would argue. But up till then,
no, because I really like the fact that from the very beginning it's a sequel.
Okay, but like you can make the argument like it doesn't lean too heavily into the book or the movie, outside of like visual references.
Sure, but I feel like if you watched it as a direct sequel to The Shining,
oh, you absolutely could.
It all of the concepts follow through perfectly. The whole idea of The Shining itself being a larger concept and using it to communicate, like, this is basically like, Stephen King's take on Scanners. Like, it's really with some supernatural elements. It really is just psychic battles, and it's bizarre.
And they're well done psychic.
Yeah,
battles,
it's really good.
Like the scene. Like, the little girl, honestly, was like, is she gonna turn out to be the bad guy at the end?
Who?
The little girl, that Ian McGregor's character.
Oh, right. You were wondering if she was gonna turn?
Because she had some, like, serious dark vibes going there.
I mean, she's been through some shit.
I mean, like, totally justifiable, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the way she was saying is, like, this is, like, supervillain this is going to supervillain territory.
Yeah.
Like, when she tricks, like, the main, what's called, Miss Hat, or whatever.
Yeah, Rose.
Rose the Hat.
Rose the Hat.
Who is like the main villain of the movie, and when Rose thinks that she has her on the ropes, and like kind of sneaks in her mind and starts like going through all her her memories.
Yeah,
like
that was a really cool sequence.
And then it turns out it was just a trap, and the little girl just immediately starts fucking with her. It was like, oh damn, okay.
No, that's one thing about it though. In my mind, it's like, no, she got to not only see but kind of experience firsthand what they did to that boy.
Oh yeah, and like everything she does is perfectly justifiable. Don't get me wrong.
It's not just that it's justifiable. It's just the fact that she's kind of like me in a way, where you have goodwill towards pretty much everybody, except for certain people who do bad things, and once you get to that point, you really want to see those people suffer.
See, we'll get to that when we talk about Ford versus Ferrari.
Oh boy. Okay.
But anyway, but yeah, no, like there's a lot of and again, that's what I'm talking about. Like for everything, like I see some people wouldn't like this movie. That being said, it is so visually interesting because of sequences like that, or like the scene you were talking about earlier when Rose is trying to find the little girl, and she does this thing where like she kind of flies over, like she's just like weird global flyby thing. Like it's the Big Lebowski. At least that's my first.
I didn't even think of that.
That was my first thought. Was like the music started playing in my head, like la 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 la.
Sha la 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 la. Just
Now you can't watch that scene again without thinking about that.
no, I can't.
Because see him kind of doing the pose.
You came to the spoiler territory. Now that's ruined for you. But yeah, so
But like it always
that
has-
whole sequence, massive fan of that.
Oh yeah.
Because it would have been really easy to make that and just have it be some silly, stupid thing.
Yeah, no, but
But-
they find a way to make it visually interesting.
Yeah, the visual style of that, the scene in the grocery store.
Yeah, that was also
that.
really cool. Really,
Loved
like
the
any
way they
time
did
between
that.
Rose and the girl were so good.
Yeah, no, great sequences, just manifesting the whole psychic abilities concept.
And the way I like in this scene, I do think you were talking about earlier how you thought like the thing between God, I'm forgetting what's Ian McGregor's character name?
Danny?
Danny, thank you.
Yeah.
The way they do kind of parallel like the Danny and his father when how he's trying to bear the look it is pretty prevalent throughout, especially when you actually get to the hotel at the end.
Well, no, but that's at the hotel. Like, what about...
But like even like before, I would argue before then too.
Where?
Well, again, like especially when the girl's introduced, it's mostly about trying to basically learn from his father in a way. Like, okay, I kind of the thing got messed up because of these ghosts. From my experience, I don't want that to happen to her, so I'm gonna be more protective
Sure.
of her, so she doesn't fall the same traps that I do.
Sure, yeah.
At least I'd argue as far as character motivation goes. Maybe not necessarily direct homages as far as like direct references to Shine or anything like that, but I would argue that the presence is still there.
No, but I'm saying I don't see what you mean about that thematically being present. Because
Okay.
at the very end, it's very clear that they made a deliberate effort to make it like The Shining with the whole sequence with the axe and everything.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense, and that was cool how they did that. But otherwise, throughout the film,
Mm-hmm.
like...
Like, it may just viewing in different ways, but for my personal experience, I felt like that was the thorough thread, at least for that character. And I felt that motivated a lot of the actions, which to me kind of carried it over to the theme. At least, again, it goes back to the legacy, it goes back
He's
to
also
generational.
trying to be a good person. He's just a good person. And he realizes that, you know, I guess when he had that first sequence with, God, I keep forgetting the cook's name. But when he had that sequence with that guy in the hospital room where he, you know, reviews... where he reviews, like, why he should help this girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it turns into this whole thing where he's like, oh, well, I guess I gotta do it. Because, you know, you owe a debt, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Dick Halloran. Right?
Oh, yeah, I think it's him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Dick. So, where have I seen this kid before? Oh! The baseball kid.
That's where he was. It's like, oh, this kid looks so fucking familiar.
He was
It's
from
driving
Good
me
Boys.
crazy. Yeah, I just remember now.
I totally forgot. It was bugging me. But good versatility from that actor.
Yeah, no, he's a good actor. He's
I-
dependable.
Between
Yeah.
these two films, he's been very convincing in these two very different roles.
He's gonna have a good career.
Yeah, hopefully so.
But I think like it goes back to like going back to your advice because there's a point where he thinks he's lost everything and he immediately goes back to
Yeah, he has that battle with the bottle, and that was a good moment. That was a good moment. It was well, you know, depicted, but yeah, again, feels incidental to the character. As far as the overall plot goes, you know, that whole sequence in the woods.
Oh, yeah,
that
that was
sequence
great.
in the woods was
That was
great.
great.
That shootout, I saw what was coming. But it still hurt when it happened. The sequence in the car was genius.
Yep.
There's just, but again, a lot of this, how much of it, like, it just comes from the fact that they took a book that was good and made it into a movie that was good. They translated it well. I think that's the main thing to keep in mind. And I'm saying this as someone who hasn't read the book, so I don't know how well it was translated, but I will say that, you know, most of the time when you translate a book into a movie, it doesn't go this well. And
Yeah.
Stephen King has had a pretty successful couple of years as far as his stuff being made into movies. So
Well,
good
it's
for him.
chapter 2 notwithstanding.
Yeah, it's still better than most.
This is very true.
They gave a shit, and honestly, I kind of want to see the both cut together.
Yeah, no,
I know it's gonna be super long, but it really does feel like it'll be a more coherent experience when you have the parallel things going on.
Either way, chapter 1 still stands out pretty well on its own.
Yeah, no, chapter 1 is easily better. But let's see. Outside of that, another thing I really liked was when the ghost showed up at the end. Seeing all of the, I was like, oh, I recognize that one and that one and that one, like recognizing all the shining ghosts.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty cool.
And watching her just tear the Rose character literally to shreds,
Oh,
it's like, oh,
God.
that was satisfying.
That was pretty great. Got the hand inside the face. I was like, oh, that's just a visual I do not like. Congratulations, you managed to squig me out on that level without even being that bloody. Just someone reach into your face, and it was like, ah.
And I also will commend it for working around the Jack Nicholson problem as well as they did.
Yeah.
Because like you couldn't not have that character show up at any point.
Yeah, I mean, part of the whole thing is, confronting his father when he gets there, because he knows his father is also trapped there.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that out of all these things, I don't know if his father hasn't come after him, or if, he just hasn't had the heart to shut his father into a box.
I mean, the way the conversation kind of played out just seemed like it was more of he just didn't want to be. Yeah, he wanted to get as far away from his family as he could.
Yeah.
So he just didn't chase after him.
Ugh, yeah.
Which is again, that's made pretty explicit through the dialogue.
That's pretty oof.
Yeah.
Pretty oof.
And again, having him be the bartender, and that's why it comes back into like the oral themes too, because like the. Every time he holds a bottle, every time he fights a battle with alcoholism, that's basically it's supposed to be representing like his dad's vices or his concept of what his dad did. Yeah,
no, and it's again pretty on the nose when his dad takes the drink and says that this is the medicine, and he still refuses. He's like, I'm not gonna do this, and his dad gets pissed off. But
and good for them for finding a good Jack Nicholson look-alike. Yeah, not really good Jack Nicholson sound-alike. But he looked the part.
But the demeanor.
Yeah, the demeanor and the mannerisms, all that stuff is pretty well created.
Oh God.
But yeah, like that's the case.
Fucking moldy old lady. I found someone decent for that. She wasn't as fat as the original one.
Not that I was like I don't know. They didn't really get Slinger and Alana for me to compare.
I don't know. I very distinctly remember the original old lady, and she was just like, she wasn't like huge fat or something, but this one just felt skinnier, and it's not that it's a problem either way. It's more that I just saw the difference, and I was like, oh, okay. It's clearly not the same.
There's a few cases where it was like, okay, you're still like, if you're really looking, you can tell differences. But again, considering that they didn't use like any of the old footage and they tried to recreate as much as possible, it's a pretty goddamn great recreation.
Yeah, so
and very great attention to detail.
I mean, we can list off individual moments that we love within the movie forever, but
yeah, I hear you.
I don't know. Just overall, it has this thing where it does feel like the plot very deliberately progresses from one point to another, and there are failures and there are successes, and you're not really sure where it's going to go as you're experiencing it. And I'm kind of interested to see how this is going to feel the second time around for me.
Yeah.
Because I definitely was surprised at multiple points through the movie, and I don't really know how that's going to be the second time around.
Yeah. And I think, going back to this, for me, this hit me unexpectedly. Sorry. This hit me unexpectedly, very personally. And I think for me, that's why it resonates stronger. It's in my opinion, it's probably going to be my top 10 list. I don't know how high, but it's probably going to make it.
I mean, this year has had a real dearth of good movies.
Oh, yeah. This has been, because all things
not been a great year for the most part.
It's been. I thought you said it has or hasn't been a great year.
It has not been a great year.
You don't think so?
No, I think there's easily less than 10 movies that I would want to put on my great movies list.
I don't know. I think there's been quite a few that I thought were really good.
I mean, I haven't seen Ford versus Ferrari, but I've definitely been underwhelmed by movies that other people thought were really great, like The Lighthouse.
Oh yeah.
But by the way, you still should see Parasite. Parasite is very good.
It's always a matter of time.
No, I know, man. Just if you
I don't think it's in theaters anymore. I gotta track down. Is it really?
You got to track it down, but it's still there.
Oh.
It's surprisingly doing pretty well. But yeah, so
Well, we can all agree Glass was easily best movie of the year, right?
I didn't even bother. But yeah, so Doctor Sleep, good movie,
Yeah.
worth seeing.
Yeah. I'd
Solid. I find a hard time quantifying this, like in terms of if I'm trying to talk about like how flawed of a movie it is. It's pretty low on flaws. I would give this a 9 in that respect. But in terms of like how amazing the movie is, just in terms of blow you away, I would give it like a 7. But then in terms of just like being a good plot, it's like I guess I'd give this an 8. Like just a solid 8. It's I think that's one of the main things about it. It's there are moments that could have been more potent. Like certain peaks could have been peakier. I guess I think that's where my one gripe comes in. It's the same thing I felt about Gerald's Game.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was good, it was interesting, it was engaging. I was pulled in through the whole thing. But the whole thing with like the Moon Man, like I just
forgot about the Moon Man.
that like I felt like it could have been more impactful with how that went. Also, it was good seeing two of the 3 characters from Gerald's Game show up in this.
Wait, which one was that?
Who?
Like who showed up in Gerald's Game that was also in this?
The Moon Man from Gerald's Game is the grandpa dude from this one.
Oh, right.
You couldn't tell from his fucking weird hollow-looking eyes.
It's been a long time since I watched
really
Gerald's Game.
Gaunt cheekbones.
I actually completely forgot about the Moon Man. So,
and then Gerald's was the guy from AA.
Oh, okay.
He was the doctor.
Yes. All right.
Who I love how Danny tells him where to find his watch, and the doctor's like, "How'd you do that?" And he's like, "Lucky guess." And he's like, "That's bullshit." Just no. I really appreciated that there was a character in this movie who was like,
"No, you're psychic, motherfucker."
Yeah, no, you got that. That was impossible. I don't know why Danny was so intense about it. Like, I don't know why he went after. He probably would have found it when he went back to the hospital, but it felt like a weird way to connect him to this character.
Yeah, but
and it didn't feel that necessary. But it's minor gripe. Whatever.
It also explains why he disappears halfway through the movie, or like into that act. It's like, oh, he went back to the cap or to like the what is it, the
hospital.
No, the house where he's doing the weird sex thing.
Oh, totally different character, but yeah.
Or is it? I don't know.
Shut the fuck up. Carl.
Having them do the interview in the Impossible Office was a nice touch.
The Impossible Office
from the first Shining. From The Shining, you know, the office where Jack like interviews to be the caretaker. It's the same office that the doctor interviews Danny in.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
You said you've seen it once.
There are parts that really stick out to me.
The office interview really stuck out to you?
I mean, they're just like visual cues that really stuck in my brain that I was able to pick up on. That was one of them.
All right, sure. Anyway.
I don't know what to tell you, man. It was a long movie. I paid attention.
All right. Well, I don't know how much more there is to say about this.
No, I think we covered everything we can't really have to say about it.
So. But yeah, it's it's good.
It's really good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's worth seeing. You may get more or less out of it. Mileage may vary, but it's definitely good.
Yes.
So.
Bye.
Like and subscribe.